So I have this video that we're going to do. This video is from the Daily Wire, but it is not featuring, well, it might feature Ben Shapiro. I don't know. I don't know if he's in it. But I just think it's an interview documentary. Yeah, it is. But this is about Blaire White. And this video is Blaire White. Here's why other trans people hate me. Now, before we see what her answer is, trans people in chat, why don't you like Blaire White? Let's hear from your mouths instead of her mouth. What? Let's see if it adds up. Let's see if the introspection here is accurate. Because she's a transphobe. There you go. There's one. She's a TERF. She's a sellout transphobe. She hates my identity for brownie points with cis people. Oof, that's a good one. She's a true scum, transmedicalist, grifter. I don't know what a quisling is. She's a transphobe. Anti-ruckus. Oof. Shits on other trans people for no fucking reason. Yeah, she's a transmedicalist. She tries to be not like other girls, but with being trans, just looking for attention and money. Mm-hmm. Quisling equals traitor. Okay. Anti-ruckus. She's awful puff. What? She insults people for their looks. She's a conservative. Transphobic for attention. All these are accurate. That's what I would say too. So let's see what she says.
You know, it is one of those things where once you take stances that are unpopular, you become sort of unpopular in certain segments.
I have never been denied a single thing. The problem might just be you. Have you ever considered the problem is you and not trans people?
No.
Okay, well, I'm here to tell you the problem is you and not trans people.
This is what the left.
Well, that's okay. So this is what she does, right? Jessica Yaniv is not a good example of somebody that represents the trans community at large. Did you know that? Did you know that a trans person? This might shock you. This might shock you. Okay, hot take coming in, chat. Are you ready for the hot take? A trans person can be a bad person and not reflect on other trans people. The hottest take I could possibly have. She thinks that she'll be the last one to go, but she forgot the lesson of Ernst Röhm, which is... Holy shit, cut the mic. Oh, he's too much hotness coming out right now. Too many takes.
Does to all minorities, which is try to instruct them how to think, try to instruct them what they need to believe in. Like, I don't care who you are, what you really believe, as long as you're voting in the direction of freedom. And that's all I care about.
I think that you and I...
The direction of freedom. Then why are you talking to Ben Shapiro, bro? Blaire White's one of the worst trans people, but doesn't reflect on the rest of us. That's damn right. Gay Nazi who was the first to die in Hitler's purge. Oh, okay.
Definitely agree on a lot of this. For me, I'd rather have a conversation sort of about the logic behind your stance. I feel like I'm always damage controlling for the trans community, which is so frustrating.
So I'm a YouTuber, and I'm definitely more so known for being the queen of controversy.
Okay. Is she known as the queen of controversy? What? I've literally never heard anyone call Blaire White that. She calls herself that? I've never heard anyone call Blaire White the queen of anything. What? You know, I know that you're here as an actual Jake enjoyer because of the corn thing or the Cobbzilla thing, but really people call me the king of cock. So I'm the cock king. Everyone calls me that since we just get to say stuff now.
That's kind of what people call me. I have a lot of takes on my channel that maybe other people
God damn it, Sarah.
in my community don't typically have, which is fine, or at least it should be. You tend to get blackballed a little bit when you do, black sheeped a little bit when you do. Real life is definitely kinder, but online, just search my name up and the word trans and you'll see a lot of crazy comments about me. trans sports. That's probably the one I've taken the most heat for, is feeling as though it isn't fair for trans women to compete in sports with biological women.
Well, that's because you're an idiot. That's just because you're dummy. So, cock king. You're the cock king, daddy. Wow. Wow. Yep.
At least in the overwhelming majority of cases.
Quite disappointed for the female athlete who will lose out on that spot. We're all about equality for women in sport, but right now that equality's been taken away from us. Weightlifters come up to me and say, like, what do we do? Like, this isn't fair. What can we do? And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do, because every time we try to voice it, we get told to be quiet.
The strength
trying to go for the double.
go up does pretty.
But this implies, again, I'm a sportser, okay? I do a sport thing from time to time. All right, I like the jock jams. I had jock jams on cassette. It's for old people. That's an old people joke. You know, I do. I like sports. And trans people are not dominating sports. Surprise. It's not happening. I don't. That trans woman only took third, if I recall correctly. Like, trans women are not destroying the competition anywhere. This is a fucking fake story. It isn't a thing. It's not a thing. This right here, this whole MMA thing is just man punches woman, but it's a woman punching a woman, and they've agreed to punch each other. What?
Well, gets her on the ground now. As you can see how her ground game goes.
Alana McLaughlin.
New record, 1-0. Wow. Dominating the sport. 1-0. Jesus fucking Christ.
Blaire.
Even people who don't care about sports, you mention trans in sports, suddenly everyone has an opinion. And so do I, but it seems as if sometimes there's only one set of opinions that can be held.
Well, yeah, because one of them's just wrong. You sound like a flat earther, bruh.
Especially in my community. I was just a college student trying to go to school for computer science. I decided one day, after being fed up on my college campus of just inherently knowing that I couldn't share my beliefs with my peers or my professors without being ostracized, I said, let me take to the internet. Let me make a YouTube video. I think I expected about 7 people.
Okay. Hot take. And I know it doesn't matter what I think, okay? It doesn't matter what I think at all. Cuter. But that's just because I don't like the very California plasticky thing going on. But hopefully Blaire's very happy with how she looks now. I don't want her to feel dysphoric, so I feel like that's probably, you know, a her thing, not a me thing. It doesn't matter what I say, but I was actually surprised. I've never seen old Blaire White videos.
Able to watch it, 5 being my family members. Woke up the next day, the video was going viral. And
I think flat earthers are dumb. Did you know that there's people who deny germ theory? Oh yeah.
My life has changed dramatically ever since, and now I'm here. My first video was about feminism, which is funny because feminism used to be kind of like the centerpiece of online political discourse, and now it's a little less of a hot topic.
Good.
But back then, that was the topic to talk about if you wanted to get canceled. So
if you wanted to get canceled? Why is she like this? I don't understand what the... This is just like... It's always her personality. And I don't know what it is. Well, maybe I do know what it is. Okay. I feel like for someone like Blaire, it is easier to have this like hot take than it is to give a genuine take about a thing. Because she always has the hot take on something, right? I think it's safer. I think it just feels safer to not give your like wholehearted opinion. And you know, over time I believe it probably turns into her actual opinions, but it's like really odd to be like always, if you want to get canceled, like, is that the goal? What do you mean? Like, to be controversial constantly is the goal? Seems a little sus. You know what I mean? She wants to feel like a war. It feels like some sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of like re-grasping control of something in your life. I don't know. It feels like a cope is what it feels like, I guess is the easiest way to say it. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's a therapist that could probably understand it. Reclaiming some form of control over something. I don't know. It's just an odd way to go about content.
Transitioned at 20. It was the best decision.
I'm new here. Do you like Sargon? You know.
My life, I would never take it back. It opened up so many opportunities in my life. Obviously, it was right for me as a person. My earliest memories in life, probably 4 or 5 years old, was feeling gender dysphoria. So it was a feeling that escalated throughout my entire life, and I fixed it. I think that
good for her. There we go. We could watch a Blaire White video and we go, hell yeah, good job. We don't have to feel mad for a second. That's nice.
Sometimes as YouTubers, commentators, whatever you want to call it, we can maybe feel as though we're very much hated outside of our supporters, obviously, because online it's a lot of hate. But in reality,
it's because her family rejected her for being Did they reject her for being trans? Because she transitioned pretty young, it feels. Didn't she come from money? She feels like she has to pander to them to get their love. She even said that she would let them misgender her to gain their approval. Is that really the case? Wait, that sucks. Is that actually a story that she's told? Her family rejected her for being trans. She felt like she has to pander them to get their love. Oof. Ugh. That sounds rough. See, that's what I'm talking about. I feel like just therapy would help that. I don't know.
if I go to
To be fair, at this point, capitalism has deemed that if Blaire White doesn't continue to make videos the way she does, then her financial success will dwindle. She talked about it when her dad died. Huh. That's really fucked up. She'll fall off. Exactly. Because she's not smart enough to be like a lefty content creator. You know what I mean? Like, she's just sort of brain dead. She doesn't really think about stuff in a deep way. I don't know. I think she harms the trans community a lot. Like, can you, like, you know what reality would be ideal? What if Blaire White just became like a makeup and lifestyle YouTuber or something? Just go be your rich California, everything is pink person. People like that shit. That's not for me, but like, it seems like, honestly, when Blaire isn't talking about stuff and she's just doing stuff, she seems happy and fine. Go do that. People watch lifestyle videos all the time. And you don't have to attack your own community. You don't have to, like, I don't know, constantly bend over backwards to get cis validation. I don't know. I mean, make the content you want. I'm not trying to police anybody. But the content that you apparently want doesn't feel like you want it. I don't know. It feels like rocking a hard place at this point.
LGBT bar, an LGBT part of town. I can't really walk.
Unless you want to get the right-wing AstroTurf bucks. That's true.
For my content, they've been inspired by it. They can't publicly agree with me, but they'll let me know on the side. Being trans is not an ideology. It's not a belief system. It's just an aspect of who I am, not whole of who I am, an aspect of who I am.
It's interesting that she could get that right and be wrong about everything else. Hold on, I gotta feed Sargon. Gotta feed him. All right, you're going back down here. We'll get Jordan Peterson out here, though. We'll get him to look at the sub count disapprovingly. You're not the top lobster. You're not making $9 million. You're right. You're right, Jordan. But if someone tier 3 subs, we can get closer. Sorry, Jordan is, he doesn't like it that I'm not the top lobster, so sorry. Clean your room? Hell no.
And so the idea that I have to hold certain political opinions, certain beliefs, just based on that factor, which really shouldn't matter, I've never understood that.
Okay. So you don't have to hold all the beliefs that other trans people that are on the left hold to be validly trans. You don't have to hold any of them to be validly trans, but to be part of the trans community at large, it would seem to me that maybe advocacy for the social group that you are in that is marginalized would be ideal rather than specifically pointing out all the bad things that your group does. Whether or not they're bad, they're perceived bad by the right wing, right? Because you literally cater to a group that does not like trans people on purpose for money. You don't see how anyone could find that harmful at all? Huh. I would love Blaire White to talk to me. I think she blocked me on Twitter, to be honest, but I would love that. Does Blaire White want to have a conversation at some point? Not a debate. Every time I say conversation, people think I mean it like Destiny means it. I really don't. I mean, like, let's sit down and ask each other questions about each other's ideologies and come out the other side with it and see what happens. That's all I ever want out of anything. Do you think that would happen? Blaire White, let's talk. Let's talk about why the trans community, of which I have a lot of fans that are trans or at minimum are supporting of them, why the trans community thinks that you're bad for them. Most of the trans community, because I would be very surprised to find that you disagreed with me at the end of that, because we could talk it through. I feel like we could talk it through. Paladin Lost, thanks for 25 months. Trans fans, I've been summoned. You're damn right. Never gonna happen. Definitely.
I'm a trans woman. Period. Point blank. I have no problem with that. I don't need to try to validate myself by running around saying that I am a biological female and that is my life, because that's not my life. That's not my experience. I think that biological women and trans women have very different experiences. There are obviously some similarities, some connections, some things you could absolutely relate to, but there's a lot you can't. So the idea to blindly conflate the two when having scientific discussions is also a problem. So you have a lot of trans people going to hospitals and not disclosing that they're trans, and then they're getting the wrong treatment for certain things. That's just a real.
Yeah, but don't wait, hold on. Why do you think a trans person might not divulge that they're trans? Like, what are you talking about? Like, people aren't. Jesus Christ, trans people are not like typically not divulging that they're trans to doctors for like prostate cancer. Say you're a trans woman and you have a prostate issue. You know what I mean? You're not going to divulge that? What do you mean? Sometimes it happens because of the stigma, right? Because of the stigma. Specifically that you foster in your communities and spread throughout the land. Like, what? You are the reason that people do that. They're not like when it says, "Are you a man or a woman?" on the little thing that you fill out, cool. I'm a woman, but they're not asking like what's your birth sex or something like that. Like, that's a little bit different question, and you can have that conversation. And again, I don't think any trans person in the world is like, no, my sex is not what it is. Like they're gametes, bro. It doesn't matter. The rest of it matters. Like, a person that's trans is pretty much, again, we've said this a million times, trans people don't seem to be hiding from the incongruence between their sex and their gender by the nature of saying that they are trans, of being trans. It pretty much shows, hey, my sex is this, and it doesn't fit my societal expectations or my internal expectations of who I should be. And then I'm highlighting this and saying, I want to be this. Makes me happy. And then you do that. This is not trans people running away from some sort of reality. She's such a fucking trans medicalist, bro.
Reality. And it absolutely shouldn't be something that's controversial to say.
It's not.
Biological sex is not changeable. You can obviously live your life your way that you want. I'm an example of that. Gender dysphoria until I think just a couple years.
Why are we still saying this? She's in the trans community. No one in the trans community says this. Yeah, Holly, you're right. But I'm just saying, like the way that she's describing that is how we have to talk about it, right? So this is not a thing that trans people do. There are trans people hiding from doctors about this. They might say I'm a woman on the thing. I mean, if someone's like, man, I'm peeing a lot. My prostate is maybe causing me problems or something, right? This is just something I'm thinking of because I have a prostate. Like, I don't know, like there's not a lot of trans people that are gonna accidentally or purposely disinform medical professionals when they're trying to seek treatment for something.
Years ago was always listed as a mental disorder, and for me, I'm all about destigmatizing mental health issues. I don't feel the need to.
She calls people fucking crazy mentally ill people all the time. Like, she watches some TikToks, she's just like, wow, I'm for destigmatizing mental illness, but also look at this mentally ill buffoon. You know what I mean? Like, how's that destigmatizing it?
Bury the fact that it's clearly some sort of neurological condition that caused me to feel this way. I think if you're feeling these feelings at 4 years old, it's something there. And so to me, it makes all the sense in the world to say gender dysphoria is a mental disorder, a mental health issue, and it should be treated as such, and people should work their way out of it in the way that they see fit.
Do people disagree that gender dysphoria is a mental health issue? Because there's a difference between saying trans people are all mentally ill and dysphoria is a mental health issue. Like, one of those is a little acidic and you say it on purpose so it sounds mean, and the other one is just agreeing that it is an issue that we need to deal with. Like, what? Yeah, not a mental illness, just an issue with mental health. It could become a mental illness, you know, because gender dysphoria and stuff can obviously lead to, and I don't need to tell most of you this, you know, can lead to other things that don't feel very benign at all, and you would consider mental illness, depression, anxiety, chief among them. Yeah, you could also be trans and not have dysphoria. I agree, yeah. And so, like, I just don't know, like the way they frame that sentence is always so weird to me. There's no need to apply this, like, poisonous rhetoric to that at all. Because you just make it sound worse.
Search up the word detransition on YouTube. It's a growing number of young people who are facing this issue who transition, end up regretting it. There's a very common narrative that
Oh my
they
god,
feel
I should talk about detransitioners, dude.
sucked into online discourse that maybe validates something in them that might not be so valid, which is those feelings of being trans. Obviously,
If you are a person who is considered detransitioning, you're valid. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters to you, but I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it does not reflect on another person. I got asked this the other day, and it was so weird. How do you feel about detransitioning trans people? It's like, what do you mean, how do I feel about that? Detransition is a valid thing that doesn't reflect on any other person. It is your decision. It is your happiness. It's your way you want to live your life. There's nothing wrong with detransitioning. It doesn't make any sense. I kind of want to look at this thread now. Oh, interesting. Detransition also usually happens for financial or personal reason, not because they aren't trans, but either way valid. Right. Like, I don't know. Keep talking about relatively a few people detransitioning when there are billions of people alive right now.
detransitioners don't make up the entire trans community. There's plenty of people who transition and are happy about it. But the idea that we can only talk about the ones on the happy end of the spectrum, especially when there's kids doing it, I think is an issue. So I've made a point to interview a lot of them on my channel, and they're some of my most watched videos, some of the ones people...
Some of my most watched videos. I wonder why she feels incentivized to continue to push a detransitioner narrative.
find the most compelling, because you'll have a 16-year-old girl who removed her breasts, underwent testosterone, has a permanently deep voice because of it. And it's tragic, and they're definitely censored themselves. They're not allowed to tell their stories. They face a ton of backlash within the community, and that definitely needs to change. I think that
I don't know. Do detransitioners face backlash in the community? I feel like detransitioners don't face backlash in the community for detransitioning. I feel like detransitioners face backlash in the community for saying that like they were forced to transition by people. Like, oh, you made it sound like it would fix my problems and I'm mad at you. Like, it might fix your problem, but like you have to decide that on your own. You have to figure out your fucking like life and what makes you happy. Huh. Like, I really don't understand saying that detransition is the part that makes them ostracized. Because I'm pretty sure it's the behavior during or after detransition that is what ostracizes some of these people. Very strange.
a more general and all-encompassing discussion.
I'd love to
on
talk
this
about that
topic,
too, Blaire.
especially because it's so complex, is what we need, not censorship of one side or the other. I think that there is a phenomenon that happens sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, with parents of trans kids, that it becomes their identity to an extent, that them being the parent of a trans child is suddenly, you see it in a lot of them, they have online personas because of it. That can lead to maybe an unhealthy attachment towards their kid being trans, and if that feeling happens to change, the parents might not be as willing to allow it to change.
This is like such a rare thing. Like, that could happen. You love Blaire White? Why are you fucking dumb? Blaire White fucking sucks. Blaire White's a fucking idiot. There you go. She saw one Vice special. I have no idea. Like, is the phenomenon of, like, the pageant mom getting hyper attached to their trans child super common enough to be bringing it up and, like, bitching about it constantly? Dude, really? Yes, dude, really? What the fuck are you talking about? Blaire White's an actual monster person. Blaire White is, like, a dumbass. Yes, dude, really? Fuck off. Dude, really? Yeah. Blaire White's really trash. And if you don't understand why Blaire White sucks, stick the fuck around. Blaire White sucks, dude. Blaire White invalidates trans people constantly. In fact, she's doing it right now. And so if you do give a shit about the trans community, then you should not give a shit about Blaire White, because Blaire White is not a good fucking person. How old are you? Probably. I feel like aviaria is not very nice. They're unironically a gay fascist furry. Oh. Get the fuck out of here then. I'm in my 20s. Well, if you're a gay fascist furry, you're a dumbass. So you're a dumb gay fascist furry in your 20s. There you go. Like Blaire White. You know what you could do? Be better. You could be a better person. I'm being mean to you. Because you came in with the dumb thing. But how about this? I'll be nice to you from here on out until you say another dumb thing. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, okay? Let's start over. I was too aggressive there, okay? I'm sorry. I apologize to you. So don't say anything stupid in my chat and try to learn about stuff. You can ask questions, though. Let's have at it.
There was a documentary called Transhood, I believe, on HBO recently. And there was a boy who, from the age of, I think, 5 or 6, wanted to wear dresses, like the color pink. By the time he turns 10, he said, actually, Mom and Dad, I'm a boy. I don't want to be a girl. And the mother would not let it go. The mother actually went into a depression because the child wasn't trans. So as opposed to just supporting your child on their journey they're on regardless, it can't become their own journey. And that happens sometimes.
It doesn't happen nearly enough for us to say that there's some sort of invalid quality to the trans community.
I think there's a certain inclination to only talk about the success stories of trans people. That once you...
I don't know how to say your name. Avira? I don't know. Are you also a fascist?
You transition, your life is...
This is a fucking lie. This is that couple in Texas, and that's the dad's narrative after this split. Oh, that was the Texas couple. Oh, yeah. And then he was like, and the kid was like, I am trans, and the dad was like, nuh-uh. Oh, I didn't know which one it was, but yeah. So that kid actually is trans. Parents get attached to the idea of their kid being a specific gender, and when the kid says something different, they react negatively. This is clearly an argument against trans people. Exactly. I can't believe she'd lie about that Texas case. That's interesting.
Set and you're happy and everything's great, when in reality, for me, transitioning was the jump off. It was like, I'm going to get this over with, and then I'm going to move on to building a career, having a family, building a real life.
Blaire took a clip of that kid saying, I don't want to go through this because of the way people attack me, as the kid saying, just, I don't want to do this. Yikes.
Life after transition.
Thanks for the biddies, man.
And that's never discussed.
Think 50 cents is going to buy your fucking loyalty here? Huh? How about you tier 3?
Really, permanently altering your body is much more of an adult decision. I get hundreds of emails a day, and as long as I'm getting hundreds of emails from people saying that they made a mistake, that they regret it, that all of that, I'm probably going to be more inclined to believe it should be done as an adult, or at least in the very late teen years at the very minimum. But you have 12-year-olds going on puberty blockers. They tend to not develop in a way that is needed to have an actual sex change.
I have never heard the argument that puberty blockers prevent the development of sex organs in such a way that a future sexual reassignment surgery would be complicated. Is that a thing? I've never heard of that in my life. Where's she pulling? I've never heard that one. But even if that's the case, even if that is the case, which it could be, let's say it 100% is. Let's just steel man it. If taking puberty blockers made your junk unable to get a proper sexual reassignment surgery at a later date, which I don't think is the case, but maybe it could provide complications. Let's just say it is. That wouldn't invalidate someone not wanting to go through puberty when they are trans. That would, I mean, it's a thing you got to think about, sure, but like going through puberty as a person who is experiencing, I'm assuming dysphoria for it, although not necessarily, but probably, that would be a harrowing experience. And obviously, sadly, there are many of you that have gone through that have gone through puberty for, a gender that you didn't want to experience, right? So I don't really understand small PP equals less tissue, but that isn't the only factor. I mean, you regret transition later nerves because you have a frame? I don't know. Puberty gave me boobs, so it sucked. See, there you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, and a lot of people got like body hair and stuff and didn't want it, and yeah, wrong puberty with absolute horror. Yeah, I can't imagine that. Like, and I'm cis, and I went through puberty, and I remember, and I don't think anybody goes through puberty without having some sort of negative thoughts about it. Like, I was worried about growing hair and stuff because I had never had hair on my body, and it made me uncomfortable. Not in like a masculinity, feminine way. And now I like it, but like, it was just scary to be like I'm gonna get hair on my butt or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was just scary to go through changes, and it wasn't like horrifying, but like, imagine the stress of that for cis people. I know a lot of trans people don't have to think about this or imagine it. You experienced it, but like, that would be incredibly scary to go through a situation where you're turning into a person you didn't want to be. That's scary. Second puberty sucks too, but in the normal awkward way, not in the dysphoria way. Yeah.
Jazz Jennings is an example. She has a reality show. She's a young trans girl, and there's nothing against her. I think she's a great person, and I think she's cool. But because of her going on medication
Vortigaunt, I'm glad that you failed.
So young, they couldn't even give her the sex change she wanted all her life because she didn't develop to the point where that was possible.
They took me to the doctor when I was 3 years old, and she held up 2 dolls. One doll was a girl and had girl parts, and one doll was a boy and had boy parts. And she said, "Which do you have right now?" And I pointed to the boy doll. And then she said, "Which do you want?" And I pointed to the girl doll.
I would say that I have a girl brain and a boy body, and I think like a girl, but I just have a boy body. And
we have to have conversations about all of it, not just half of it. There's a lot of...
Who cares what affects fertility? Like, let's say that's true. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Why is fertility a thing we have to give a shit about? You can figure that out later. Like, what? Oh, well, you can't have babies. Who cares? What? If you want to have kids at some point, then do that. If you don't, who cares?
My pronouns are doll, vampire. It's really a costume for a lot of people.
What are neopronouns? They're basically your own custom pronouns. When no other pronouns seem to fit, you come up with your own pronouns. Anything can really be a pronoun.
I just came up with new neopronouns that combine he, him, she, her, and they, them. We have them so they've combined he and she as well. Everybody gets you with thee, them, theirs today.
I just
Yeah, but that was actually a cool video. I don't know.
added Bug to my list of pronouns. Bug wanted to go to the store by Bug's self.
They're still doing this. This was a some people saw this TikTok. I think, was it Ben Shapiro that did this one, or was it Brandon Tatum? One of them. I have no problem with anybody doing a neopronoun. It's not very common. It's not hard to keep track of, and most people are pretty chill about it when you get it wrong on accident. You know what I mean? Yeah. These same two videos get repeated over. Yeah, who gives a shit?
But the unfortunate thing is that
what's unfortunate about that?
The 87 gender crowd is often conflated with being a transsexual, which is what I am.
Do you see how she uses these different words? Like these 87 gender crowds, bro. Whatever your life organizes in is valid. Like, and if you feel more comfortable calling yourself a bug, that's fine. It's weird to me. It's weird to a lot of people. But I mean, it's not going to be weird to me if you're my friend and we hang out regularly. It'll be weird for a minute. And it's like, okay, just let people live their lives. Why do you give a shit? That makes me uncomfortable. Who cares what it makes you feel like? It's not about you, dude. Like, what? Like, I genuinely can't imagine. It's like someone being named like Dave, but it's spelled like Dayve. And you're like, wow, I just refuse to call you Dave. I just refuse. Because it's not spelled right. It just makes me feel weird. I don't care. Who gives a shit? Like, why are you pretending that you get to have an opinion on somebody else's, like, identity? Like, where do you where do you find the ground there? Like, to put a flag in? Like, none of it's even yours. Where do you find the fucking gall to tell somebody else how to identify or how to live their life day to day? Because you're not part of that life. It's them. They live their own life. Like, what? Where do you get off? Exactly. And she says transsexual. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. But she uses that kind of terminology to stay in with the right-wingers. Yeah. If you are worried about somebody else's neopronouns, like if it bothers you that somebody else has neopronouns, that does not reflect on them. That reflects on you and your insecurity about that. You are made to feel awkward about that, not them. And that's something you have to work on. That isn't somebody else's homework to do. Your insecurity about somebody else's identity is your problem. And if you disagree with that, you should probably go to therapy. Kazamo and Rose, thanks for following.
I don't relate to that crowd. I don't find similarities in our narrative, in our life story. But when I meet other transsexuals, there's obviously things I can compare it with. With that crowd, not so much. I think that, like all trends, it will eventually die out. I think that in many ways, it's like the new emo.
Yeah, I haven't met anybody with like super unique neopronouns either. Like Bug and Bug. I've never run into that kind of person before. Would I give a shit? No.
It's the new attention-seeking.
It would just take a second to like think about it and make it part of my lexicon. You know what I mean? That's it. That's like literally the hardest part. It's no harder than getting a friend with a very unique name, like Shaban, which is a great name from the daughter of Mayor of Easttown. Mayor of Easttown. No. Mayor.
Easton around set.
No, actually, I don't even know. Is it Angry? Angry? Angori? Anyway, the actress that plays Shaban, which is just a fucking dope name, is apparently Angori. Angor? I don't know how to say that. She's a great actress, though. She did a really good job in that. And her name is Shaban Shaban in that show. But like, it's a unique name that you haven't heard necessarily before. I think it's Gaelic, but irrespective, like it just takes a second to remember how to spell that or something. You know what I mean? It's like learning a new name at school. It just takes you a minute. That's it. If you have a problem learning other people's names, I mean, this is the same thing. It's like quite literally the same thing. It's very strange to be upsetty spaghetti about it.
Everyone has it in their profile, even if they don't really need to. Like, you have just a straight up like biological man or woman who looks like a biological man or woman and they want to put it in their description. I think that a lot of people come at it from a good place, but it is really interesting to see, being trans myself, that like it's kind of a show for a lot of people.
For Blaire White to say that someone is being performative is like the absolute least fucking like self-aware comment she could possibly make.
Is kind of virtue signaling that these are my pronouns, these are my pronouns. Being trans isn't a trend for actual
I only fuck people with pronouns in their bio.
Trans people. It's like, this is something that is, like I said, a reality for me since I was a very young child, and it never went away. So the idea that it's reduced to virtue signaling and show ponying, and it's frustrating for
virtue signaling and show ponying, and then she uses the word transsexual when she talks to conservative men specifically.
Sure, and I talked to a lot of other trans people who are extremely frustrated with it. I've never talked to an actual real trans person who was even remotely okay with it. It's just more so of a thing you pretend to be okay with to keep your reputation in the community. It would be a luck.
She literally doesn't understand why it's useful for cis people to put pronouns in their bio. So to I guess to illustrate this, in case someone would be confused about that, I guess I would be remiss to not mention it. I have pronouns in my bio too on Twitter. I think it's important. It's not like the most important thing you could possibly do. It's just like, you know, it's a thing. So I have he him in my pronouns in my bio. I'm a cis guy. If you don't know that, it's quite literally for two reasons. Okay, number one is solidarity with my trans friends and fans. One of my best friends, if you don't know that, is a trans woman. She came up publicly on the internet a while back. Her name is Hannah. We've done YouTube for years together. So it's partly because like I wanted to show solidarity. However, I'm 90% sure I did this before she came out to me, but I could be wrong. But she didn't change my opinion on trans people. She just solidified it more. I guess just learning kind of her experiences and kind of what she goes through and I don't know, just sort of having a little bit more of an intimate view on the day-to-day of a in this case a binary trans woman. But the number two reason is also it takes the heat off of actual trans people. There's so many times that I have been on Twitter or something and I've said something and someone goes he him bleh, and I go, I'm not trans. And then they lose their minds because they don't know how to explain the he him thing. And so yeah, it's super easy. It's super easy to do. It helps out trans people because, you know, if a transphobe sees me and I have a bigger account than a lot, you know, not everybody, but a lot of trans people, obviously, and a lot of people in general, it takes the sort of focus off someone that would be upset by probably dysphoric language or just anti-trans language, and it gets focused on me instead of somebody else that is maybe having a bad day, because it doesn't affect me at all. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And so then they can learn that not every person that has them is trans, and then they maybe won't fire that off as often because, like, it's just it's just not useful to just go, you know what I mean? So that's why I do it. It's in support, so solidarity, and then also another form of support, and it's just that, like, you know, if a lot of people normalize it, it becomes, well, normaled. And it makes people just desensitized to it, and you don't really care about it. So it's a good thing to do. You don't have to do it. I do it. It depends on how much anonymity you want on the internet. It's not that big a deal either way. I also do think if being misgendered bothers you, it would behoove you to put your pronouns in your bio. It helps. So, by the way, hey, don't kiss my ass. You can't. Don't look. I don't know what this weird social thing you got going on here, man. But coming in here saying weird shit like you like Blaire White, having bad opinions. Everybody else in chat apparently, or at least a lot of people in chat, knowing that you're a fascist furry, And then you giving me 50 cents and saying you like my hoodie is not going to get you goodwill here. Just be whoever you are and hopefully have good conversations, but don't try to, just don't, I don't know. I feel like you're trying to kiss my ass a little bit so I don't kick you out. And I don't like that. So, yeah. What's that pronoun thingy? The pronoun thingy on Twitch is like pronoun.io or I don't remember what it is. Someone will find it though. But yeah, I have. If you don't know this, I have. Here, I'll take a snapshot for you. I have a pronoun bot on my Twitch chat, and if you also have it, you can see everybody else's. And so it shows your selected pronouns in chat, which helps me when you guys do stuff. Heartbender, thanks for following. Like if you guys say something or whatever, I can properly gender you. I say dude and bro a lot though, so if that bothers you, my bad, but it's not going to stop. Not because I'm unwilling, because I'm incapable. Anyway, let's keep, this video is almost done. Finish this up.
Luxury, if the only issue I could base...
pronouns.alejo.io. Holly Hoomst has put it in chat. There you go.
My voting on...
It's really easy. It's just a plugin for Chrome.
Or trans issues. There's so much more going on in the world I care about. The idea that I shouldn't be voting based on how I feel about foreign policy, immigration, the border, COVID, like those are all things I care infinitely more about, and those are the things that are going to shape how I live my life.
Make that content then.
Life and my choices. I think it goes back to treating it as an ideology, treating trans as an ideology, but it's...
No, any option? I'm pretty sure any is an option. What? No, it definitely is. I can show you right now. There is. The person right above you has an any. Look at this. Any. Right there. Right above you saying there's not an any option. So how's that possible?
It's really just...
Am I blind? I guess.
And you see this with all minorities. You see people that are black told they have to vote a certain way.
That's not true. No one is saying you have to. I didn't put it on her. No one is saying that you have to vote a certain way if you are from a certain demographic. What people are saying is, wouldn't it behoove you to vote in your own best interest? So yeah, it doesn't mean you have to do anything. Do what you want. But I think maybe voting for your own rights is good. Probably. It just seems very, very unlikely that you don't know that. So I feel like this is just like a straw man.
Look at the Larry Elder incident. You had
Larry Elder sucks.
White woman in a gorilla mask assaulting him.
Was she being racist? Maybe. I mean, maybe this is just a racist person. That's fine. Was she mocking him or was she just hiding her identity? I don't know. I don't know anything about this. I haven't seen this. Larry Elder does suck, though. If this was racist, then fuck that person. Blaire's pronouns are pick/be.
And somehow that white woman isn't racist because she's liberal.
What? What? I didn't watch any of that. I'm not. This is the first time I've ever heard of this. Is that person racist? They might be. What does that mean? A liberal? I think this may come as a shock to you, Blaire White. Lots of liberals are racist. That's why leftists are better. There's lots of racist liberals. Like what? There's lots more racist conservatives, though. Lots of racist leftists, too. Yeah, to some extent, yeah.
So oddly enough, I think it was my transition that pushed me towards being on the right. I'm a Republican. I think that people maybe have a misconception that because I'm trans that there was once upon a time where I was a Democrat, voting Democrat, never voted for a Democrat in my life. You know, I'm a Republican. Am I going to sit here and say that I am a Christian conservative who holds all of those beliefs? Absolutely not. But the Republican Party as it stands now is probably the most closely aligned with my beliefs. No one can sit here and say that the right has been amazing to trans people or amazing on trans issues. That would be a bit of a delusion. However, I think that a lot of people get very mad that I exist in that realm, in the right-wing world, and that I do videos for the Daily Wire and that I'm open about my views. But wouldn't you rather have someone like me have a seat at the table and be able to be part of the conversation rather than secluding ourselves to one side.
So it's not about gatekeeping your political ideology. It's about your political ideology is in direct opposition to the advocacy that the group that you, intentionally represent, trans people. It's a disservice to the people that you represent on purpose. Like, and you know that. Like, that's kind of why you do it, because you can be like, I'm one of the good ones. Here's where I make my money. And it's no reason that they scoop you and Candace Owens up and Brandon Tate. Like, come on. How do you not realize that you're being typecast? It's really odd. It's like super odd. You're a token. You tokenize yourself on purpose. It's very strange to find that that wouldn't be like distasteful to people. Why doesn't anybody like my grift? Because it's a grift, bro. You don't seem to have, like, deep convictions. I've never heard her have, like, a deep political conviction that wasn't tied to transness in some way. Ever. Can any of you recall one? Fascist shouldn't be used as a derogatory term, like how the right demonizes socialists. Not cool. I disagree. Fascism is fucking stupid. Yeah. It's a derogatory term because it's a bad political system that people don't like.
Garnered a sense of independence, self-reliance, self-growth that is definitely more of a staple on that end. So I think that it only made sense, you know, if I'm going to take responsibility and change my life and shape it in the way I want, then that's going to be that.
Okay. So that's the Blaire White video. Blaire is not a smart individual. And she's harmful to her own community, kind of by design, so that she can be helpful to herself monetarily.